Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we complete a bracket challenge to determine the coolest thing about Booker's Bourbon. My name is Steve Akeley. Please join me in welcoming my special guests, Kathy Cool and Phil Collin. Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. So, yes, we've got a fun show today. We're going to be talking about Booker's Bourbon and some of the things that make it really cool. But before we get to that, Phil said there's something he wanted to talk about that actually was related on topic here. So what do you got, Phil?
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about Booker's tonight because it's one of the categories we're going to talk about that makes Booker's unique. And there's a lot we can touch on is the batch names. And, you know, every release they do, I don't know, what's it, Steve, between 3 and 5 releases a year.
Yeah.
They all have
up to 6 before, but yes.
All right. They all have a batch name and a little drawing, and it relates to usually something either significant to Booker No's life or the brand itself in the history. And I think this is tremendous. And I think there's all these great hidden stories in there. And I want to tell one quick one that maybe people don't know about.
Okay.
There's a batch that came out in 2016. It was the 3rd release, and it was called Toogie's Invitation. Do you know about this one, Steve?
Yes.
All right. So it's got a little envelope on there. For those who don't know, the great story behind this, and it gives me a chuckle every time I see this, is that one of Booker's good friends was Booker and his wife was a woman named Marilyn Dick, but she went by Toogie. And that was a very good family friend in Bardstown. In fact, proprietor of Kurtz's restaurant, Bardstown staple. All that aside, as the story goes, one day, Marilyn Dick, Toogie Dick, and Booker's wife, whose name I'm blanking on right now. What was it?
Annis.
Yes, Annis. They were in the kitchen planning an invitation, and they're going to have a big party, and they're putting the invitations down. So they hand the invitation to Booker to give it the quick once over, and they say, "Hey, let us know if this looks out before it goes out for Booker No took a look it over and Marilyn Dick's invitation." And he looks at it and he puts it back on the table. He goes, "What, men not invited to this party?" And they go, "What do you mean?" Booker goes, "I don't think men are invited to this party." He goes, "Booker, you're not making any sense." He goes, "Read the invitation out loud." And they go, "It's the No Dick Party, NOEDICK party." And they had a big laugh, and they decided they should retool the name. But that story became so legendary and so funny, and so much of Booker's quick wit that they named one of the batches Toogie's Invite. And as a sidebar, I've had many meal at Kurtz's. I was down there a whole lot when I was doing bourbon tours. She is the most wonderful, precious woman, her whole family. So I bought 2 bottles of that stuff, and it's one of the ones I probably won't open because it's such a fond memory of bourbon country. So the batch names, they're very clever, and that one refers to a great story about an invitation. If you ever see the 3rd release from 2016, which is Toogie's Invite. So when I saw that was what we're going to talk about, I love that story, and I've been always for a good
it ends up being story. It's almost like, you know, something that we would do, like an insider joke that, you know, because there's a little bit. It stands alone as being a name, but it doesn't tell you anything at all. But yes, there's a whole story there. So
I'm sure each one has one, some more obvious than others, you know.
What I want to go back, and I would love to see it. And Phil, you probably don't know this, but I'm going to throw it out there. I wonder what the Jim Beam official story was, because they always have a little bit of a story what it was, and I don't think they're talking about. Remember the No Dick invitation?
yeah.
I don't think that would have been the official story. It would have been something about a party, and Yeah, and that made Booker review it. I'm guessing it's a little bit different than how it actually went down. The official story. Yeah,
but I have from Jim Corcus, the biographer. I know that story to be true because I've asked him about that. So
oh yeah, that guy's great. He knows everything. So
I probably got his name wrong. I pronounced it wrong, but
Kokoris.
Kokoris.
Yeah, that's what it is. I wasn't going to correct you though.
I can't wait to talk about Booker. Always correct me if I'm getting something wrong. I don't want all your listeners going, that Phil's full of horse shit. You don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I am, but I just don't want the listeners to think that.
Right. Well, true. Very true. Very true. Here comes Jessica, actually. So she'll be joining us here. Well, you got that thing on Zoom where it's like connecting to audio. So, oh, she doesn't look happy. Look at her. Angry. Just so angry right now. She's flipping me off underneath the photo, I bet. Her hands aren't on the screen, but I bet that's what she's doing. So,
recording
yes. Oh, I didn't even announce the recording in progress.
Yeah, don't sneaking in there.
Yeah. So, hey, Jessica, what's going on?
Hello, Jessica.
Hi, I'm all right. Just been driving around everywhere today. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I was with doing my first ride-alongs with our sales reps today.
Oh, nice.
Well, I guess it's not my first, but I really didn't know what to expect.
We're on a show too, by the way, just so you know, we're recording. So. Yeah.
Oh,
so, yeah. So, but you made it in after driving around all day, and you're doing okay. Looks like you got a beer there.
This was some leftover, actually some cocktail that I made. That was it's cider, bourbon, and lemon juice and cinnamon simple syrup. It's quite delightful. A few days old, better, but it's good.
A few days old, perfect. So yes, all right. Well, guess what? It is time for us to drink. What is everyone drinking? We'll start with Kathy, KK.
Okay. So in honor of this Booker's, I have a Booker's. It's not a fresh bottle, but it's the 2020-03, the third release, and it is the pigskin batch.
Okay.
Ooh.
It can be tough with that wax. Okay, not much there.
Nope.
I'll go next. I've got a kitchen table. Again, also a well-loved bottle. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, this is going to be hard to impossible to open. I'm going to say
we can hear the effort.
Yeah, there was a lot of effort there. I'm going to pass on that one. I'm going to go to Kentucky Chew. That's enough to take the lead right there. Kentucky Chew, I take the lead. All right, Phil, how about you?
We're taking a trip down to Kentucky Artisan Distillery for their Whiskey Row, their shipping port bourbon whiskey. So this guy here, again, it's not too much in there. So, epic.
Nothing there. I've got the lead. Jessica, are you going to be able to participate? You literally just got home.
Oh yeah.
Can you do this?
Oh.
I'm double fisting. I have to run and grab this.
Everyone has a bottle of Booker's but me. I did not.
Everybody's got Booker's. Didn't read the fine print on that. No hard times on my Booker's here. I've got.
No, nothing.
Oh,
wait! Wow! You talk about a delayed pop.
It's delayed. It was a tremendous pop.
I need a better mic. That's what the problem is. I am at a handicap here.
That was.
I think bonus points for the anticipation.
I know it was extra drama.
Did she do enough to beat me there, Kathy? Though.
I didn't hear yours. I was drinking and my ears turned off. So you better ask Phil because
we'll have to have you weigh in.
Jessica any day.
I'm going to say yes, but to be fair, I'm almost always going to say yes to this question. But it was a good, solid pop. I'm going to say Jessica takes it.
Jessica takes it. There you go, Jessica. Yeah. You came in and you won. So your day's turning around. I mean, it's late in the day, but it's officially turning around right now. So cheers, gang.
Cheers, everyone.
I needed this one. Yeah. Cheers.
All right, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, it's going to be bracket challenge time where we look at what is the reason that makes Booker's the cool thing that it is. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward Certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Scott Pinkowski loves the Bourbon Daily.
But can I have a kiss? No. That doesn't work.
All right. So welcome back, everyone. We are going to be talking about what we love about Booker's so much. What are the coolest things about Booker's?
Absolutely. So these are 8 things that are cool about Booker's. We're going to determine which is the coolest of these things. Number 1, it's named after Booker No. Guy's a legend. It's named after him. That's pretty darn cool. It's a high-proof barrel strength offering. A lot of us love high-proof these days, and it's consistently, in the 120s, high 120s sometimes. So cool. The packaging. You look at the packaging, there's a lot going on there. A label, featuring Booker's writing, the wax top, the kind of little medallion looking thing. It's cool. It's very cool. The fact that it's accessible. That's a big thing these days. The fact that you can actually find it. It's not, go to the store. Every store you go to, it's on the shelf. But if you like Booker's, you should be able to track it down. The cost, again, today's cost of high proof bourbon that's aged, it can be a couple $100. And this is somewhere between 60 and 100, depending on what market you're in. I hear some amazing stories. A guy just told me today he buys it for $65, and other people say it's $100 in their market. So, but it's still not bad. The batch names, that's made a big difference. So that happened after Booker passed away. Fred got involved and changed it from being numbered to names, which I think adds some personality to the brand. That's cool. The fact that it's released quarterly. Now, again, they used to do like 6 times a year. Last year only happened to be 3, some outstanding reasons. But for the most part, you get it about 4 times a year. And then finally, it helped save bourbon. I think that's not also important to point out. The whole story of Booker, coming up with this product. Bourbon's very stagnant, and he comes up with this product and the rest of the small batch collection, and then hits the road, and people begin to get interest in it based on that. So that's what we have available. Here's how they're going to match up. The batch names will take on the fact it's accessible. The fact that it's named after Booker will take on being released quarterly. The cost versus the fact it's high barrel strength. And finally, it helps save bourbon versus the packaging. Round number 1, up first is Kathy. What do you think is the better thing here? Batch names or the fact it's accessible? What do you like better about Booker's? Batch names or can be found?
It is nice to have something accessible with the way bourbon is going these days, but I just love the batch names so much. I'm going to go batch names.
Batch names. That means batch names goes up 1-0. What do you think, Phil?
I'm similar mindset. I love the accessibility, but when you put in a greater universe, most bean products, even the smaller releases and stuff like that, are relatively accessible. Part of what they're able to do. So batch names gets the edge for me. I'm going to vote batch names. Love those. Okay. Love those clever names.
That means batch names moves on. Next up, it's the fact it's named after Booker or the fact it's released quarterly. Phil, you're first.
I don't care that much that it's released quarterly. I like there's a few expressions out there a year. That doesn't matter to me that much. And honestly, I've never been one to notice a huge change from batch to batch. I think overall the product is pretty consistent. So I love that it's got Booker's name right on the front. I love that connection to one of the all-time greats in bourbon. My vote's for named after Booker now.
Named after Booker now. Jessica, you're next. What do you think is better? The fact it's named after Booker or the fact it's released quarterly?
Named after Booker. I mean, what an honor. So should be honored that way. Booker now.
Named after Booker. All right. Next up is the cost versus the fact that it is a high barrel strength offering. Jessica, you're first. What do you think makes Booker's cooler? The cost or the high barrel strength?
I'm always about high proof barrel strength, and it's one of the first. Was it the first or one of the first that were offered as a barrel strength Bookers?
Probably so the first on a large scale basis for sure.
I think it was the first. Yeah. So I'm going to go barrel strength.
Barrel strength.
High proof barrel strength.
All right, Kathy, what do you think? Barrel strength or the cost?
So, barrel strength is good. There's a lot of barrel strength out there. Having something affordable is nice. It doesn't, throw things into the secondary market, which is ridiculous. But I still like a high proof barrel strength offering. So I'm going to put it there.
All right. That means barrel strength component moves on. All right. Next up is the fact it helps save bourbon versus the packaging. What do you think's cooler out of those two? Kathy, we're starting with you.
I think anything that helps saves bourbon should be super cool.
Okay.
So there's no argument there. Just putting it through.
All right. That gets your vote. What do you think, Phil? The fact it helps save bourbon or the packaging? What's cooler?
Definitely had a big impact and gave an interest to a section of bourbon that wasn't there before. I think maybe on the bourbon show or we could get a debate going about how much Booker's helped save bourbon in the grand scheme of things. But that packaging, it catches your eye on the shelf. There's other imitators out there now that are using the wood box, and they've expanded the use. A little book has something common like that. I'm a sucker for a unique and quality whiskey packaging. So I'm going to vote for the packaging.
Okay. The packaging. That means it's tied up. Our first tiebreaker goes to Jessica. The fact it helps save bourbon or the packaging. What do you think?
I'm going to say that anything that's going to help lift the entire industry of bourbon, that has got to be, it's got to be important. Then it's got to be cool. So it helps save bourbon.
Helps save bourbon. All right. That means it moves on to the final four. The final four is going to look like this. Batch names will be take on the fact it's named after Booker. Barrel strength versus the fact it helped save bourbon. Round number 5, Phil, you're first. Batch names or the fact it's named after Booker?
I think it's so important that there be a bourbon on the market that's named after someone who's not only iconic across the industry, but so closely associated with one brand. And I think it's doubly important that it's a great whiskey, that it's a high profile, flavorful, high proof. So Booker's wouldn't be Booker's without that name right across the front. So my vote's for the name.
Yeah. Good point. And it kind of is like the man itself. He was a big guy, bold, over the top, and kind of Booker's is kind of the same way. It comes in a box. The packaging is over the top. It's
handwritten label, nothing fancy on the marketing design, just the original handwritten as he had it.
Yeah. All right, Jessica, what do you think? The batch names or the fact it's named after Booker? What is cooler?
I mean, it is really cool that it's named after Booker, but that there's a lot of bourbons that are named after really cool people in the bourbon industry, which, rightfully so. But I think that those batch names also play a part in honoring Booker in many ways. So I think I'm going to go batch names. Batch names.
That means it is tied up. Some solid rationale there. Kathy, it goes to you. Oh, I like your shirt.
Oh, hey, this is an ABV Network t-shirt.
Those are available on Amazon.com, Phil. A whole line of ABV Network.
www.amazon.com.
HTTP.
TP colon.
Go ahead. What do you think here? It comes down to you, Kathy. Batch names.
So is it the packaging versus the cost that I'm talking about? No, I'm kidding. Book or no or batch names. Both of my co-guests said some very interesting arguments, but I'm just a sucker for the story behind the bourbon, and the batch names. It makes me feel like there's a story behind this bottle, and it makes me feel like it's more homey, more friendly.
Yeah, it gives them personality for sure.
Yeah.
You also remember them, I don't, ask me to name my favorite one before they started doing batch names. What was my favorite batch? They're all the same, right? I mean, I don't remember any of the numbers at all, but I do remember by batch name. So there's something cool about that.
What's your favorite by batch name?
Big man, small batch.
Okay.
And get this, I haven't seen that for years. Some guy just posted on Instagram that he found 2 bottles just south of Louisville in a small liquor store. It just drives me crazy. I think it has to be false, but when I saw that, I'm like, I was that close to that. I would have loved to have those. So, yeah.
Do you remember the year and release number?
It's 2016. I don't know the release number, 1 or 2, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's the one to get. All right. Now, again, before they had names, no clue. Barrel strength versus helped save bourbon. Round number 6. Up first is Jessica. What do you think? The fact it's barrel strength or the fact it helps save bourbon?
I think that you could argue that the fact that it was one of the first barrel strength bourbons out there that helped save bourbon.
Oh.
So I'm going with that because I also like high proof bourbon.
It's a paradox.
So you went with barrel strength because that did help save bourbon.
Yes.
All right, Kathy.
Yeah, that was part of the reason why. Yeah.
Okay. Barrel strength versus help save bourbon. What do you think?
So didn't it help save bourbon because it was barrel strength?
Steve, your bracket has put you in a roundabout puzzle.
Well, that's one reason. Yeah.
Tune in next week as we debate this quandary for 35 minutes in the Bourbon Daily Paradox.
So I'm not going to take responsibility for this one. I'm going to pick whatever the opposite of Jessica was and throw it to Phil.
Okay. So you're saying help save bourbon. So here's where I
save bourbon.
Barrel strength and help save bourbon are knotted up. What do you think is cooler and makes Booker's as cool as it is today? Barrel strength or help save bourbon?
The cost. No, just kidding. The barrel strength. I think that's the key here. I think that for a long time it was the gold standard of recognizable, easy to find barrel strength bourbons on the wall, especially because man, is it smooth. Booker used to joke that when he was taking it around the country, people would have one too many because they'd be used to things that would be real harsh at that proof level, and they'd end up with a bad case of bust head the next morning. You'd always call it bust head. So I think the barrel strength offering is the true strength here. So that's my vote.
Okay. So here's where we're at. It comes down to the finale.
Oh, I thought that was the finale. I thought that was it. That was my grand speech. Oh.
You're going to be first. Batch names versus barrel strength.
Barrel strength for everything I just said and what I thought was the grand finale.
Okay. All right. Jessica, how about you? Batch strength or barrel strength? Batch names or barrel strength? I'm doing the best I can.
I think I'm going to stick with batch names. It's just it's honoring Booker. It's a unique quality about it. It gives the personality. I'm sticking with batch names.
Okay, Kathy. It all comes down to this then.
Wow.
It all comes down to you. Batch names or barrel strength. What do you think is cooler? And ultimately, the coolest thing about Booker's bourbon.
Well, I think it's appropriate that it comes down to Kathy Cool to decide what is the coolest thing about Booker's. I'm going to stick with batch names.
That means batch names is our champion. That is the thing that drives the Booker's brand is those batch names. So keep getting creative. I know that I talked with Freddie, and he said the marketing came and said, I think we're at the end of the run on these batch names, man. We're out of them. He's like,
No.
there's like a million different things you can come up with. I mean, and he started naming, things you need to think about, and then the offshoot of those, and now they're fine again. But that's a good Freddy story. Yeah. Marketing was like, we're done. We've exhausted our list, so we're going to.
I think he needs to rethink his marketing department. They lost their creativity.
So he fixed it now. So there you go. There it is. Batch names is the big thing. And it's certainly a big part of bookers these days for sure. I agree with that. So there you go.
You know what, Steve? An idea for a future episode, perhaps on our phoning it in, is a bourbon roundtable on batch names. See who has the best batch name. Vote on the different batch names. Okay. So the show is you have to come up with batch names, or are we doing like a bracket challenge of current batch names and which one's the best? I like it both. A bracket challenge of past batch names, and if you were a bourbon, if there was Steve Akeley bourbon, what are some of the batch names you would have that you'd put on the label that people would find amusing, relate, and want to pick up?
See, I would have held on to that for my next small talk, Bill.
There you go. All right.
I would have come up with I think Booker names, and then we should submit them to Freddie and see if one gets accepted. Oh, that'd be tremendous. That'd be great. Yeah. But I don't know how we could then determine the winner. Maybe it's a two-parter. We come up with 8 different names. We have like 4 people on that come up with 2 names apiece. So we put them in a bracket challenge, and then we with different people, and then we see which one's the coolest, and then we submit that to Freddie and see what happens. That sounds awesome. I'm surprised they haven't. I'm looking at the list of batch names here. I'm surprised they haven't done one about Toddy's, the kind of non-distilling black sheep of the family who opened a bar, liquor store / depending on who you ask at certain times, place a wager on the sports from time to time. Do you know a lot about Toddy? I know enough. Okay, I want to talk to you then. I'll for something I'm working on. All right. Well, that's going to wrap this one up as we always do. Congratulations to batch names. Yeah, you are a winner. There you go. Well earned. We'll talk about where people can find us. Kathy, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook at Kathy Cool.
All right, Phil.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. I say the witty things on Twitter at Derby City Phil, and I post the beautiful pictures on Instagram at Derby City Phil. All right, Jessica.
You can find me at Facebook at Jessica Fullerton on Facebook. And I do have an Instagram that sometimes I might in the near future post on at Glass Half Fullerton.
Doesn't even follow me back. The Glass Half Fullerton, I followed it. I'm like, oh, she's got it. Didn't even follow me back. I was ticked. All right.
Man, I gotta call me out on that. Okay.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more. abvnetwork.com. Jessica, anything else to say before we get out of here?
Well, I certainly do. I would just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments that helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we are doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV All
right. Great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye. Bye.
Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com. Call them at 217-254-6613 or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.